Welcome to beautiful virtual Lakeland, Florida for round 10 of the Indy Pro 2000 Championship, the final oval in the schedule, and an oval familiar to everybody on iRacing. We're here at USA International Speedway, the first track many oval drivers will race at, and one of the greatest, tracks we've ever seen on the iRacing service. Just 3/4 of a mile, 4 corners in this speedway, 16 degrees banking, and it should be a fun race today. The track was permanently closed, actually, in 2008, but it will stand the test of time here on iRacing as it hosts street stocks, it hosts the ARCA series, and virtual iRacing, and many series have come here. NASCAR, even in real life, tested their car tomorrow here at the speedway. So it really should be a fun one today. Let's see how these Pro Monsters do. And my name is Jonathan Burke. Alongside me today is going to be Tom Davis. Doing the camera work will be Tyler Maxton, as well as track cams provided by Esteban Balo and Track Cams 22. And Tom, how excited are you for this race?
Oh, I think excited is the right word. Yeah, it's a fun little track, is the USA International Speedway. It always produces pretty good racing, and almost always produces chaos as well, which we're not going to shy away from. We've seen plenty of it with these Indy Pro 2000s, and here's your grid.
Jack Ashton on the starting grid. Aaron Roofs is going to be number 2, so Ashton getting a good advantage here in the points. Jason Owens in P3, Thomas Sackridge in P4. Andreas Eek, we know he's very strong at the ovals, in P5. Simon Fell in P6. Looking down the order, Matthew Perrion in P7, Frank Nguyen in P8, Patrick Bryn in P9, Andrew Dixon from Australia rounding out the top 10, Andrew Berry, a strong oval driver, down a little bit in the order in P11, Thomas Zeiger in P12. Jason Perdue from New York, number 13 in P13, Bob Cohen in P14, Connor Melia in P15, Loic Barb, who just, I think, needs some good luck on these broadcasts, in P16, David Durno from Britain in 17th, and Gordon Tree in 18th. The 17 and 18 cars switching 17 and 18th place. So that is the grid. We have 18 drivers. Pace car is away, and this is going to be a tight one. It's a bit of a shorter speedway compared to Phoenix and compared to New Hampshire, so we're going to probably see a lot of good, intense racing action.
Yeah, we should do. It's a short circuit, so naturally the cars are going to be really close together because you're trying to fit the same number of cars that we normally have into a smaller space, and that is always going to produce some sort of action for us, whether it's a little bit of contact here and there because they're all squeezed on, or whether it means they're going 2-3 abreast at every corner is yet to see, but we'll get one of those two options.
So around turns 3 and 4, it looks like the pace car is going to stay out one more lap, 2 laps of warm-up here for these drivers. And it's also a night race too, so getting temperature in these tires is going to be a bit tricky, I think, and you're going to really need it trying to fly high speed down into these corners.
Yeah, of course. You're turning most of the time at this circuit, so you really do need the ability to put the lateral load on the tire and trust that it's going to stick. Notably, if it doesn't stick, there's a wall at the top, there's a wall at the bottom as well. So the moment it slips, the moment you lose that confidence, you're going to be in trouble.
All right, so we round our way through turns 3 and 4. And right now, it's going to be Jack Ashton leading them down into turn 1. There are full course cautions in this series as well as restarts. And on this start, this double file start, Ashton with a beautiful jump to get out ahead, and ducking down to the inside is the 5 machine. Oh boy, it's already intense and crazy. Number 3 is defending hard. Andreas Eek is looking to the inside, but here comes Perleon down the inside. There's going to be nothing doing right there. If these guys keep fighting, however, Jack Ashton will gladly say goodbye as he leads lap 1.
Yeah, he's already gone. Made the perfect getaway. The 3 car, that's Aaron Roofs. He made a less good getaway. Got stuck up on the high line at turn 1. Allowed everybody up his inside, and that squabbling immediately creating a gap.
Ashton looks to try and create a really, really good early gap. Roofs and Owens now 2 and 3. Sackridge and Eek rounding out the top 5. Eek gets to the inside, but nothing doing there. They're 3 and 4 wide down to the field. It's like Barry is trying to pick up places, as is Newen and Fell, but there's really nowhere to go. These corners are just so tight. It's thin margin of error.
Yeah, expect Newen to do well. We've seen him just have really calm races when it comes to the oval, just picking his way up through the field. There's an extra position as he gets past Perron, and now he'll be looking forwards to Eek, who's not that far away. He'll be getting a nice little distant tow.
And now it looks like we single file out for the time being, but maybe those restarts and these starts, the best way to pick up position. This is Zeiger on Barry to the inside. Nothing doing this time for the TNT racing driver. But Barry has a problem in front of him in the form of Andrew Dixon and Simon Fell. Fell is to the outside. Barry looks to the inside. And this is probably going to be the most action-packed area all night, is this mid-pack area where you're going to have a lot of comers and goers throughout the field.
Yeah, a little mistake there from Simon Fell in the 7 car. That bright livery, there's the touch, and another one up into the wall. They both go. They managed to keep it high. Somebody else has spun out a sympathy as well, making contact with one of the red cars in there. Is that the 13 was touched potentially? About half the field involved, short put simply. Safety car comes out. We're on full course caution. I mean, it seemed inevitable when they were squabbling like that. You commented on it, 4 abreast. It's a narrow circuit. At some point, they're going to come together.
And you mentioned the guys that were caught up at the end. There's just not a lot of, place to go, especially on these exit of these corners. The Indy Pro 2000s are, a little bit of a slippery thing to handle on the exit of corners, and this track is kind of difficult on the exit of 4 and 2. So we're under caution for the first time today. Fell and Zeiger are now in pit road, and here is the replay. So Barry thankfully gets around them. Zeiger, big move to the inside, and it just was not going to work, I don't think. That was a very risky move. And I think the 16 of Cohen gets tagged by this stranded car as well. So, again, there's not a lot of room for error, and especially when they're so close together. And I think this is the 15, that is Connor Melia, trying to take evasive action. So here's the 16. He tries to go low, but then he has a friend below him. That was the 13 of Jason Perdue, who is all up his inside. Really nowhere for him to go but to spin the car around.
Yeah, and we saw this last time we were at the Speedway as well. You end up on a slightly awkward line because you're trying to avoid, and you've got to remember, these cars are already on the limit approaching that corner. So they try and turn the wheel tighter, back end steps out, and then you're going around anyway. If anything, you're a little bit fortunate because you've not got damage in that process, but obviously it's not ideal.
Yeah, so Thomas Zeiger has taken that thing to the garage after that heavy hit to the outside wall. Simon Fellow is going to stay on pit road and try and get repairs, but kind of a shame for both those drivers. They both started inside the top 10, and now they don't get to see a good result. So we're underneath the pace car. Jack Ashton has led all 8 laps so far. Aaron Roofs, Jason Owens, 1 and 2 right behind Ashton, and this is a good opportunity, I think, for Roofs to try and close up on Ashton, because on that initial start, there was just nothing he could do. Ashton got away. He was busy squabbling with everyone else.
Yeah, it was absolutely perfect for Jack, and he's been doing well this week as well, as you would expect from a guy who's up there competing for the championship. We've seen previously that his starts can be very good, but he's not faultless in the way that Greg Seitz is. We'd expect every time Greg Seitz is at the front of a field, it's one of his big characteristics is that he can get away. Ashton certainly can do it. He's quick. He's proven that by being at the front of the field, but he's not quite as consistent with the restarts, which will give the drivers behind that a little bit of hope.
So the pace car will be in this time by the British Fordzilla driver of Jack Ashton. Will lead him back to the green. Let's see how he gets this timing down. He has Roofs and Owens right behind him, who had good pace, just unable to catch him. Ashton good on the jump right as they come off the banking. That's going to give him a huge gap as we hit green flag back in the air. The single file restart. Looks like everything is calm, at least for the moment. And for the time being, Ashton, a beautiful jump, half a second away from Roofs and Owens. And the other thing to consider is the draft. It is a very, very short circuit, the shortest one on the schedule this year. But these straightaways do give you an instance to draft. And here comes Owens on the back of Roofs.
Yep, Owen's really nice and close behind, keeping it just under 2/10, which is where you want to be. The issue is, where can you get that overlap? Because ultimately you're looking for a little bit of a mistake from the car ahead so that you can come back underneath. He's having a little look there, take a tighter line on exit, but if anything, that's going to open up to the 10 car of Thomas Skraj.
And, Ashton, is one of the great drivers, but at least for this week, these three drivers, second through fourth, Roofs has had 3 podium finishes, Owens has had 5 top 5, Scratch has had 3 podium finishes as well in official competition. So this is a tough competition that Ashton has behind him. And here comes the 10 machine down low, almost gets into the wheel wells of Jason Owens. Scratch is going to hang onto the inside of 3 and 4. And this is the problem. It takes away that outside line being side by side. You can't get that full runoff. You can't get all that momentum that you need and make it this move. And finally, that Force Indy inspired paint scheme of the number 10 of Scrooge can almost clear. The 5 is putting up one heck of a fight.
Yeah, almost looked like they were able to take advantage of the side draft there, which is interesting. Not something we've seen in these cars, generally more associated with touring cars, but you take what you can get. I'm sure it'll be there somewhat. Place eventually goes the way of Scratch, though. It has opened up a gap ahead of these guys. They're now some 1.3 seconds away from Roofs, who has actually managed to stabilize the gap to Jack Ashton. Jack not breaking away the same way he did on the first shot of this race.
Instead, it was Roofs breaking away with him, because now there's almost a 1.5-second gap back to the number 10 car of Scrooge, who now, because of that fight for third place, Owens has Eek, Newen, and Perrion right behind him. And again, we talk about this. Andreas Eek was up front at Phoenix for a lot of the time earlier in the season. Perrion has also had several good finishes this week at this track. So it's, again, not like this is a weak field whatsoever. It's a very, very stacked and a very, very competitive field. You can see Newen getting closer to Andreas Eek right there. He's going to try and move down to the inside of turn 1. The 1 gives him plenty of space to come up to the exit of turn 2. And this is the problem. You can't get clear in that outside line. It gives you a much better run. So it's very, very hard to complete the maneuver, as it looks like Andreas is going to hold for the time being.
Yeah, it was clever from Ewan to get the initial overlap, though, because at no point on the straight was he actually alongside, but he was very close behind Eek. Pulled out to make Eek think he was there, and then Eek gave the space. Ewan just put his car in it. Very, very clever driving from Frank, as ever. Eek's not exactly stupid, however, though, so he'll stick in the slipstream, play nice and fair, and try and make up positions with Ewan instead of fighting him for this one, and only this one.
So Scratch has given up fighting for third, has dropped Jason Owens, and has now clocked in a fastest lap of the race of 17.5. As Newen moves into the top 5, and now Eek is going to fall into the clutches of Dixon and Barry and Perrion. And again, this is probably where a lot of the action is going to be, the comers and goers. Who's strong early, who's strong late. Again, dynamic weather here. The temperature is going to start dropping as the sun continues to go down. So it's going to be a very interesting race, and see really how these drivers set up for these longer runs.
Yeah, it is. And we've seen in the past that can be really, really important. Ashton in particular, we consistently see him burn up his tires, whether it's an oval or road course, the street circuits. He can really struggle with the rear tires just due to his aggressive driving style, and that might open up the opportunity for Scratch and Roofs as we get towards the back half of this race.
Patrick Bryan in the 14, looking to the inside of Matthew Perrion. Perrion using an IndyCar-style game bridge scheme, as here's the battle for the lead. Roofs has caught Jack Ashton, and now has a healthy dose of draft going into this corners. But the problem is also, how close can he stay without losing the front wing in that car? He's already had to back out of it a little bit on corner exit right there.
Yeah, Scratch taking advantage of this as well. He was quicker than both of these guys on the previous lap, bringing it in by another 10th. As these two begin to squabble, that will plummet. 3 to the inside of the 8. Ashton's brave, though. Just slices across the front, says, I'm going to get to that apex before you. And in fact, he did. Aaron's going to have to try something spectacular if you want to get past Jack Ashton.
You can see the two different lines here. Aaron Roofs is taking a much more center apex line, turning it a little bit earlier, letting that car kind of float in through the center of the corner and then get out. Ashton is carrying a little bit more speed into the corner right here and getting a much later apex, using the banking to get a runoff. It's a very two different types of driving styles that we also see sometimes in the NASCAR series that we have. Xfinity cars, they're truck cars, trying to use the banking to your advantage. So, going to be interesting to see. However, the problem now for these two, as we are running on the shortest circuit on the calendar for this series, there will be lap traffic, even in just an 18-car race. You can already see ahead, Gordon Cree It's not too far away from being put a lap down.
And that's going to help Ashton, because you got to remember, all the way through this chase, Ashton's been out the front, breaking a hole in the air for Roofs to follow, and Scratch now at this point as well. Now Ashton's got a little bit of slipstream. Now sure, he's got to make his way through the traffic, but so do the guys behind him. So ultimately, it just kind of neutralizes the advantage that everybody except Ashton has.
Tree to the outside, good respectful driving from the number 17. He will let the leaders go, but there's a squabble right ahead of him. Here's the 16 who had a little bit of damage earlier in the race. That's going to now be a bit of a nuisance to the leaders. Here comes the 10 of Scratch to the inside. He is now closing on Aaron Roos. It's just this big pack of cars. David Durno is the one leading this mid-pack group. You can see him a little bit further into the picture as now they clear that lap traffic, but they're all close together. They're underneath a tenth from each other. You can throw a blanket under these cars. As now Scratch can see Jack Ashton and can probably get both of them if he's brave enough.
Yeah, Roof's actually drifted a little bit wide on his exit a couple corners in a row there, which is why he's just kind of backed off towards Scratch and a little bit further back from Ashton. We are talking little bits here. It's a tenth this way, a tenth that way every single time, but ultimately those are the little mistakes that count come the end of this race. They really do build up, and that's where Ashton has seemed pretty solid so far. He's definitely taken a different line when you compare it to the guys that are following him, maybe a slightly more road racer intuitive line, but he's making it work. He's doing the same thing every single lap, and if you keep doing that without any mistakes, it's so hard to get an overlap at this circuit.
So nice thing out after that little bit of lap traffic right there, they've kind of spaced out. The next car to be lapped is Connor Pelia, and he has 2 seconds until Jason Prudhoe in the 13th, so it looks like it should be easy pickings for lap traffic. But now Jason Owens has caught into the Mega Scourge a little bit squirrely into the corner for the 10 machine, getting a little bit of that apron, and the 15 also compromising Frank Newen, who's trying to break up into the podium places and chase down Jason Owens. The top 5, all within a second and a half of each other.
Yeah, we said it would be close, and we were not lying. It could go any way yet. This field is a long way away from having decided its final order. Ashton, again, just gets a little bit of breathing space, but now Roofs, in turn, has a little bit of breathing space on Scratch, so he's all a focus on the wheels ahead. Ashton got a little bit of clear track. As we mentioned, that's not necessarily a good thing. That left-right rear doing a little bit of a jig, but sorts itself out nonetheless.
Scatchins getting a pretty close date with the wall, and maybe the tire thought about coming off, but decided, no, it's okay, I'll be okay. The main concern is going to be when they get to the 11th and 12th place drivers that are about 4 or 5 seconds up the road. That's Barb and Durno. They're fighting hard for 11th position at the moment, so that lap traffic could become key. But right now, we're also have to wait and see, like, how do these tires fare? Like, are these guys going to start falling off, you know, and becoming a bit of an issue, more or less, and holding up the leaders even more and more? So this is a battle between Perion Brine and looks like the 18 who's a lap down. I'm sorry, that's the 16 of Bob Cohen. These two are kind of all by themselves on the other side of the racetrack from the leaders.
Yeah, doesn't mean they're fighting any less hard, though, that's for sure. Battle for 10th, there's always a little bit of pride comes with getting into the top 10, and that's what these guys are looking to claim at the moment. Completely nose to tail, just looked like one car for a moment there, but the 14 once again doesn't manage to get that overlap because the 12 just takes the same line, doesn't go that little bit deep on the exit, gives them a nice run, and then they just turn it in at the correct point, shut down any opportunity.
Eek and Barry have decided that they are going to share 7th place, because if you see on your timing screen, it has gone back and forth, I think, for the past 5 or 6 seconds. That 2 car is barely hanging on the inside. You can see it as he comes up the track. That back end loves to kick out. He's able to get a slide job down on Andreas Eek, and it looks like we have a caution. Oh no, has Jack Ashton crashed?
That's Ashton. That didn't look as if his car was whole either yet. Oh, it's missing massive parts of it. What on earth has happened here?
The leader is crashed. He's crabbing now, trying to get back to pit road. Heavy contact for the Fordzilla driver. And that has just turned the whole race on his head. It looks like Aaron Roofs doesn't have a lot of damage or any at all, as Ashton just had a little bit of a hiccup coming through the first 2 corners.
Maybe he was near lap traffic as well. We were at that stage of the race where he was coming back through. Ashton's actually not in the lead.
Oh!
He gets a tap from Scratch. Scratch just followed in. We knew Ashton was taking a slightly different line. Thomas Scratch didn't anticipate that, and around Ashton goes, you got to say, somewhat innocently as well.
Yeah, so Roofs had just gotten by as we were watching that mid-pack battle, and Scratch just a little deeper in on entry, just tags the 8 machine, and around poor Jack Ashton goes. Nothing he can do. Front wing is off. Front suspension destroyed. And this is the pass that for the lead. And a little bit of contact right there. So I'm assuming Jack is not going to be a happy camper with either of those two drivers. There's a little bit of contact with the Roofs for the lead. And then right here, just a little bit too heavy into the entry. And it's going to be a tag on the wing to that rear suspension.
At that point, nothing you can do. Once the tires have started to slip, they've lost that perfect point of friction and grip. And to be honest, Scratch is quite lucky to get away with that after the second contact. Pulls it back down. Ashton, not quite so lucky. On the overtake from Roofs, though, you got to say, Ashton has been kind of inviting that aggressive dive down the inside that Aaron put on him, because he's been taking that offline as such, the counter line to what everybody else has been doing, where he sweeps in and it just leaves the door open for somebody to put their foot in, and that's what Aaron decided he wanted to do. He'd had enough of following Jack, stuck his nose in. Scratch tries to follow through. Ashton was aware of it that time and ended up just getting tapped round.
Yeah, the problem, and at least in defense of Jack Ashton right there, is that he's been running that line the entire race. Aaron knew he was going to come back down if he wasn't close enough, and there was slight contact between those two, and then Scratch looked to the inside, and he just did not slow up enough going into turn 1. So here's the interesting thing. How much damage does that 10 car actually have? Because he's yet to come down pit road. Lights are still on the pace car. We have 24 laps to go. And this kind of throws the whole race on his head. Now, Aaron Roofs has now inherited the lead due to this incident. Scratch is second. Jason Owens is now moving up into the podium places. Newen and Dixon now the top 5. And this is definitely going to be an interesting way to end this. Does the 10 car have significant damage on that machine?
You would have to say it's unlikely. The front wings on these cars are way less complicated than, say, a Formula 1 car, for example. So there's less little bits that can break off. So if the wing's there, it's probably fine. The other things you got to look at, obviously, you might have some degree of tire damage. We know that he's not got a full puncture, so he should be fine on that front as well. Weaving around a little bit, maybe trying to get a feel for it, see what the issue is. But you would inherently say that a little tap like that not going to damage this particular single-seater in the same way that it can other single-seaters.
Yeah, my main concern is going to be that front wing going down to the corners. Again, this is the smallest circuit and the tightest circuit we've run all season long. You're going to need that bit of front downforce. And even if there's a little bit of damage, even that we can't see at the moment, if Scratch can feel it, he's not only going to lose second place, but he might become a huge issue for everyone further down the order trying to pick up places. As Ashton attempted to leave the pits, and it looks like he's going back in. As now Aaron Roofs will get the lights are out on the pace car. He's going to start slowing them up and bringing them down for a restart. There will be 22 laps to go. This time, when we receive the green flag, Aaron Roofs is now the leader after passing Ashton into turn 3 before the caution flew. So there goes the 3 machine. Green, green, green. Back underway at USA International Speedway. And already the 10 is trying to look to the inside, but he has Jason Owens for company not too far behind. It was a good jump from everyone there. But Owens looks like it's gotten around that 10 machine, and we may be right. There may be significant, or at least significant enough damage to Scratch that he's not going to be able to continue on it. Here comes Newen looking for a podium place to the inside, ducks back to the outside, and he's going to get right around. Yeah, that 10 car is falling and falling fast.
Yeah, he's just not got the grip on turning. He's braking so early compared to everybody else. And then he was clearly not on the throttle because Newen went for the inside, backed out of it, and then had him on the outside anyway. That's not something that happens when you got a healthy car. Again, there goes Eek up the inside as if the 10 car is not even there. So the decision to stay out, oh, he's regretting it now. A little touch for the wall there wouldn't have helped things.
Andrew Dixon has come down pit lane. I think he might have also gotten into the wall or tagged it at some point. Here's David Durno, who was probably the biggest benefactor from that caution. He was about to go a lap down to the leaders. All of a sudden is now sitting pretty in 10th place, about a second behind Barg, a second ahead of Perdue. So it's good running for this 18 machine. Nice I rating and safety rating pickup as well. But again, that 10 machine continues to be an issue as he checks up the 15 of Conor Melia, who's still one lap down. And the 18 is going to have to try and find a way past both of them. And it has to be front and maybe even rear suspension damage on the 10. He's just not able to turn that car like he should. And then on the exit of the corner, it's just drifting over to the wall.
Whoa,
big crash ahead. The
contact.
17 without front tires connected. The wing, I think, was sliding into the infield as we have another caution. Roofs still the leader. Owens still in third. And Frank Nguyen up to third place.
Yeah, fantastic few laps from Frank Nguyen there, clearly. Take advantage of the chaos around him. Roos with a nice restart. Here's a replay of what happened then. Oh, he's just got on the power too early. He was nowhere near making the corner, was the 17. Fortunately avoids everybody else. But ultimately, as we said, you make a mistake like that, there's walls on the inside, there's also walls on the outside, you're going to be punished.
Did you see Matthew Perrion on the inside when that wall, when the car came back on the track? I need another replay of that because he had a close moment. So here's the 17, hard on the wall. He's crashed, and there goes. That's not the 12 of Perrion. That's the 14 of Patrick Bryan. Excuse me. Incredible driving from that number 14 to not get himself collected.
Yeah, here it is from the view. Car goes off. You're thinking, oh God, where do I go? Just about makes it down to the left-hand side. Touches a wheel on the grass. So at that point, you're thinking, oh God, better not crash. A little bit of a correction, actually, as well. Oh, I'll tell you what, fair play to Patrick Byrne in this car. This is some very high-quality reaction times and then driving skill to stop it from spinning round on the grass.
Patrick Byrne, you may have earned yourself an iRacing Top 10, and I would submit that to the forums as soon as possible, because that was, there might have been an inch or two between him and the spinning Gordon Tree as he came back down onto the racetrack. But we're under caution again with less than 15 laps remaining in this race. Aaron Roos has led since the final restart. Owens is now in second. Frank Nguyen is third. Andrew Barry, who I mentioned early on, started 16th. He's picked his way all the way up to fourth. So we have a couple new players up here in this field, and it's already been proven it's kind of hard to pass under these green flag runs. You have to think for Owens and Nguyen, you have to jump very, very early on in order to even think about a win.
Yeah, you do. Whilst all this has been happening as well, Scratch came into the pits. He's left the pits. That puts him in 11th place, but still on the lead lap. And we've seen in previous oval races, that means that he can come back. He can be a part of this lead fight because he'll have fresh rubber on those wheels and his car will be fixed. So he should arguably be the quickest driver. It's just a case of him coming back through every single car near enough.
Yeah, we're also thinking about that mid-pack that's been kind of scrapping on its own. Perrion, Bryan, Durno, Padu. Yeah, they've kind of all been on their lonesome. We don't know how their pace is. As here's the 10 car, extremely slow. I'm wondering if it's just trying to get a feel for things still. His lights are still on. Looks like we'll probably go back to green with about 11 to go. And it's definitely going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see on the restart what Owens and Nguyen do. You have to stay on the gearbox of Aaron Roofs if you have a chance.
Yeah, but he did it perfectly last time. Was immediately there to take advantage. Didn't get held up. Was incisive in getting past the slow Scratch. As a result, I think he's got a reasonable chance of ending up in the lead of this one after just a couple laps. Roofs has got to have his wits about him because there's going to be a bigger challenge now than he had on any of his previous restarts.
So we've thinned the field out. We have 3 cars in the garage. Thomas Zeiger, Simon Fell, and Jack Ashton all out of the race. Gordon Tree remains on pit road after that hard contact that brought up this most recent caution. We're going to go back to green flag racing. Aaron Roofs took the lead. About 14 laps to go. Field in the hands of the flagman as we wait to see when does Roofs jump, and he jumps immediately right now. Green flag is back out, but Owens a great restart. He's immediately on the gearbox of the 3, unable to get around the outside there. Aaron a little bit tail happy as he comes out of turn 2. Here comes Jason Owens to the inside of Aaron Roofs. They're side by side for the lead. 10 laps to go this time by. The 5 is not going to be able to clear it. They're side by side. That is Andrew Barry who has all of a sudden emerged onto the podium. He gets around Frank Nguyen, maybe able to shut the door. Roofs to the inside. Big move on Jason Owens. Down into turn 3 and 4. He spins.
Whoa.
The 3 car spins, tags the wall. Jason Owens and Andrew Berry are now 1 and 2. How did no one else get collected?
Very fortunately. That was complete and utter luck. There was no skill about avoiding that car. Nobody had any idea that it was going to go or where it was going to go. So fortunate that nobody else got caught up in that. You could see it happening though. It was coming for a little while. Roofs was aggressive on the power. He'd had a couple moments with the rear end. Then he had one too many moments with the rear end, and he was fortunate not to whack it into the wall. Here we go. The big decisive move to the inside. That was fantastic from Roofs. And then he holds it, gets a little, maybe there's a little bit of a touch there. There was certainly movement from Owens on the outside, so they were jostling around just a little bit, and that was enough to unsettle the car.
And what if we got a little bit on the apron, then moved up, got a little touch from the 5. Oh no, that's just complete. The rear end just came out on him.
Yeah, he's just carried a bit much too speed there. This is going to be exciting to watch. Here we are on board with Jason Owens as we come in towards the corner. Where's Roof? He's appearing. He's appearing. Oh, no, he's disappearing again. Yeah, I mean, he would have had no idea what was going on there. He would have had absolutely no idea. Frank Nguyen, Jesus, that is a huge move when you see it from that angle. Andrew Berry as well. This is going to be a little bit scary. Going, gone. And Andrew Berry smartly just hugs the apex because it's unlikely that that car ever skids inwards. It's always going to follow the momentum to the outside.
Berry started quite down the order. I believe he was on the 13th or 16th. We did go through the starting order quickly, so my apologies if I got either of those numbers wrong. It is now sitting second place. The two dominant cars of the race, Jack Ashton and Aaron Roofs, have now had their problems. Ashton, after colliding with Thomas Scratch in the 10 car, out of this race, and now Aaron Roofs with significant rear wing damage. He's down in 11th position. A 9. All right, so it was an odd number, so I was a bit wrong. So it's 11 places. Yes, that's 11. So he started 11th, got his way up to 2nd, and now it's going to be a showdown between him and Jason Owens. How many laps do you think we'll get to go? About 5. Yeah. Oh, this is just going to be a shootout.
Yeah, this is just going to be an all-out blitz to the line. You know, 5 laps sounds like a lot to anybody from me, like me from Europe, where we have long laps. This lap is 3/4 of a mile. It is not going to take long to do 5 laps, and there's not going to be many overtaking opportunities, so you better make use of the ones you've got. You can bet Andrew L. Berry will be giving it a go, though, because this is a very rare opportunity to try and take a win against an absolutely stacked field.
I don't know if you remember from earlier in the season at Phoenix, Andrew was one of the favorites to win that race, and the late race caution kind of took him out of contention. So this could be a redemption moment. And then Frank Nguyen, you know, we mentioned Jack Ashton talking about points, but Nguyen is still a considerable points contender, very, very consistent. So he could pick up a decent amount of points here, especially considering the strength of this field. And we're seeing Andreas Eek, he's been very, very good at the ovals. Really unable to say much at the moment as lights are now out. We will have 4 laps remaining, and there's you can go all the way back to the number 14 car of Patrick Bryan after that beautiful, beautiful avoidance. Anyone can win this race.
Yeah, anybody can win it, and we're about to find out who it will be. I'm excited. I'm very, very excited.
All right, get your seatbelts tugged, get your popcorn ready. We're gonna have a 4-lap shootout to determine the winner of this race here at USA International Speedway. Jason Owens leads them down. 5 top 5s already this week in official competition. He hits the throttle. We are back underway. Beautiful start from the 5 machine. Berry kind of reacted a little bit late there and is now going to be in the clutches, I think, of Frank Nguyen. No, Nguyen gets held up. He has Eek for company right behind him. The 5 and the 2, 1 and 2 still as they head down into 3 and 4. A great entry for Berry. Little bit hectic on the exit. Here comes Frank Nguyen. Can he get second place? Jason Owens caps now that number 2 machine. It's about half a second up the road. All of these cars, they're hanging on for dear life. The tires have to be near gone.
Yeah, they will be absolutely screaming at the moment. I think that's what we saw from Andrew L. Berry. He just went in on the normal line and hang on, the fronts don't want to grip anymore. That's allowed Nguyen right up onto his tail. Frank's sensible, but if he wants to compete for this championship, he's going to need to take a couple of risks here and there. He can't just keep finishing 3rd, and this is his opportunity to steal a 2nd place, gain those extra couple of points he's going to need.
As we come across the line, 1 lap remaining. Jason Owens, who has been running the top 3 all race long, is going to come across the line as the winner at USA International Speedway. After both of his main competitors had issues, Jason Owens is a winner at USA International Speedway. The number 5 machine claims victory. Andrew Elberry from 11th on the grid to the podium places, and Frank Nguyen taking a 3rd place finish. It wasn't really the final shootout I think we were hoping for, but I think for Jason Owens, that was textbook how you run those final 4 laps.
Yeah, he got the jump. That opened up just a couple tenths, and it'll take the guys behind you a few laps to close it in. So by the time they're there, there's no corners left to overtake you, and you get a relatively easy victory. It's not easy to pull off, but it's nice and easy in terms of the pressure applied, because you get the first bit right. It makes the rest of your life so much easier.
It's the 9th race he's run all week long. He has had 5 top 5 finishes, and now we can add a broadcasted win to that nice weekly collection this week. And it was just a textbook restart. Andrew just had a moment coming out of turn 4, and you said it, like, those tires are just screaming. After 17 long laps around here, there had to be no grip left. So here we go, the final results. Jason Owens from Indiana claims victory. Andrew Elberry takes 2nd place, and Frank Nguyen alongside him on the podium. Andersek in P4. Patrick Ryan, after an amazing save earlier on, is in P5. Matthew Perry on a quiet race in P6. Loic Barb, didn't mention him much, in P7. Thomas Scrage collided with Jack Ashton and had significant damage, but was able to rebound to P8. David Durno, a nice solid P9 for him, and Jason Maduro rounding out the top 10. Andrew Dixon getting P11. Connor Melia finishing 1 lap down in P12. Bob Cohen as well, 1 lap down. Aaron Roofs spinning out from the lead after side-by-side with Jason Owens. Tags his rear wing into the wall, finishes 14th. Gordon Tree, hard contact on the exit of turn 4. Jack Ashton, contact with the number 10 machine of Thomas Scrage, finishes in P16. Simon Fell and Thomas Zeiger, heavy contact that brought out the first caution of the race, both in 17th and 18th. So for the final oval race of the season, that wasn't bad whatsoever.
No, that was very enjoyable. There was a healthy balance of overtaking, clean racing, and chaos. I think that would be a balanced meal, as they say. And all in all, I think they've all done themselves proud on the oval. You've got to remember, a lot of the guys who come here are road racers. So you put them on an oval, and they're like, oh, hang on, this isn't the same as the European Grand Prix circuit I'm used to. But they've shown completely adaptable, still very quick, and it's why they're fighting for the top of this championship.
This was any oval. Again, this is the oval that has stood the test of time. It was closed early 2008. No racing has been held there. It's actually a warehouse now for USA International Speedway, but it stands the test of time on iRacing as an oval that everyone has driven on, whatever the rookie level or an A license you have driven here, you have gotten yourself a win. And for Jason Owens, it was a really good, hard-fought win. He was never outside the top 3 at any point in this race.
No, it was absolutely perfect. Stay out of trouble, stay out of trouble, stay out of trouble. All the guys ahead of me crashed. I'll go and win the race, thank you very much. It's exactly how you'd want it. The other thing I noted about this race, on a slightly different topic, I suppose, is there was some lovely liveries. So I know that some of the guys put huge amounts of work into getting their cars looking nice, fantastic liveries. I was a fan of the Lotus-inspired one. I believe it might have been on the 14 car of Patrick Byrne. But those were really
Byrne
nice
had
the livery.
The old school Lotus one. I really liked that one.
Yeah, that one was nice, and the Jordan-inspired 7-Up Tic Tac livery as well. That was very nice. I appreciate both of those. So they get my livery of the week points. Not that those have ever existed before, but we'll give it a go.
I'll make a graphic for it. Don't worry. I'm talking. I'm going to text Tyler right now. He's still in the room. Obviously, he's our producer, and thank you for all the good camera work that he's done. And now we have to talk about the final 2 weeks. We're done with ovals for the rest of the season for the Indy Pro 2000 series. It is now Spa and Road Atlanta all that remains in this first season.
Yeah, and you couldn't really change it up much more coming from the USA International Speedway, to be honest, to going to Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. It is a fantastic circuit. It's an iconic circuit, and it's going to be really interesting in these cars. We've seen the slipstream can be huge, and at a circuit like Spa with those high-speed corners, they're forced into a situation where the drivers need to run the high aero, and that just creates absolute chaos. We'll no doubt see lunges into the bus stop. We'll see huge slipstream chains all the way up the hill as well. I can't wait for that one. And then Road Atlanta, absolutely classic circuit that you can't ask for much more than what Road Atlanta provides. So fantastic way to round out season 1 here.
Yeah, they both can be considered driving circuits and car circuits. You need to have that right setup in order to get the fastest lap time, but you need to be the driver that's brave enough into these corners, that understands how to get out of these corners. And, you know, talking about next week for Spa, it is probably one of the most ultimate driving circuits that we have in the world, as well as on the iRacing service. So I think it's going to bring out the best of the best.
Oh, it certainly should. It certainly should. And I'm really excited to see the difference between Jack Ashton and Greg Seitz there. Obviously, these are our two main championship protagonists. They have completely different driving styles. So I'm really curious to see how each of them end up driving the track, because you can attack the corners or you can take it far more flowing and relaxed. And seeing which one of those comes out on top is going to be a real kind of battle of strategy, which is not something we've often seen in this championship.
Yeah, battle of strategy, battle of wits, and then everyone else in the field as well. Remember, we mentioned Frank Nguyen is a bit of a dark horse in the championship race. He's tied with Mitchell Ian Green in the points. And those two have been spectacular on the road courses so far this season. But that's going to wrap us up here from USA Speedway, the final oval on the 2021 Season 1 schedule, and it did not disappoint. For myself, for Tom Davis, for our producer, Tyler Maxton, we say so long and congratulations to Jason Owens. And if you want more racing action, don't worry, Friday Night Primetime is up in 15 minutes. Garrett O1's take to the RaceSpotTV. But that's going to wrap us up here for Indy Proof 2000. Have a good night.